Be honest with yourself for a moment, brother. Have you ever wondered why the woman you want the most is the very one who slips through your fingers? You pour your time into her. You send the late-night texts. You plan the perfect evenings. You even bend your schedule to match hers. And yet, her responses grow colder. She cancels plans at the last minute. She keeps her phone buzzing for a man who barely acknowledges her existence while your attention sits unnoticed. It hurts, doesn't it? And you tell yourself the same lies most men repeat. Maybe I'm not handsome enough. Maybe if I had more money. Maybe if I was just nicer. But here's the truth that stings. None of those things explain why she looks past you. The real answer is psychology. Cold, unfiltered psychology. Attraction isn't born in her heart. It's engineered in her mind. In fact, a Harvard study revealed that 87% of women admitted the man they became obsessed with wasn't the one who gave them the most attention, but the one who triggered the most powerful emotions in their brain. Let that sink in. Women don't chase attention. They chase intensity, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. 7 psychological triggers that rewire attraction on a subconscious level. Not pickup lines, not manipulation, but the science of how desire works, mixed with the discipline of Stoic masculinity. Once you understand these levers, you won't just get noticed, you'll become unforgettable. So lean in. If you're tired of being the man she overlooks, if you're ready to become the man she cannot stop thinking about, then what follows will change everything. Now, before we go further, let's set the frame. Because psychology without principle is dangerous. We've all seen men twist tricks into games, leaving behind broken trust and bitterness. That's not the path here. The Stoics taught us a discipline. Control what is within your power, release what is not. The triggers you'll learn are not about bending her will. They are about mastering yourself, your timing, your presence, your silence, your words. Think of Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled the most powerful empire yet practiced restraint in every moment. The point was never domination, it was dignity. That is the lens through which you must see this. These triggers are not toys, they are disciplines. And when applied with respect, they don't just attract women. They elevate you into the kind of man who is naturally desired, naturally remembered, naturally followed. So keep this promise to yourself. Never use what you learn here to manipulate. Use it to embody your highest self. Because true attraction doesn't come from tricks. It comes from alignment. Here's the principle to carve into stone. Women don't fall in love with what you do. They fall in love with how you make them feel. She won't remember the exact shirt you wore, but she'll remember the surge of warmth when you laughed with her. She won't remember every message you sent, but she'll remember the night you disappeared from her phone and left her wondering what you were doing. She won't recall every dinner, but she'll remember the one moment you revealed something no one else knew, and it shook her heart. Attraction is built on 3 pillars. 1. Unpredictability with intention. Don't flood her with constant signals. Leave space. Create surprise. The brain craves what it cannot perfectly predict. 2. Scarcity with authenticity. Your time is valuable. When she earns your attention, she treasures it. Bro. Grounded leadership. Decisions, direction, calm authority. You become the man who carries the frame so she doesn't have to. Understand this architecture, and you stop guessing. You start leading. Now let's walk into the first trigger, the one that captures attention like gravity, the mystery signal. Picture this. Ethan meets Maya at a gallery opening. They talk. He doesn't brag about his job. He doesn't overshare. Instead, he mentions, almost casually, that he's training for something unusual, but leaves it at that. He shares a story, then shifts the focus back to her. Maya laughs, asks questions, leans in. That night, she can't shake one thought. What was he hinting at? What is he holding back? This is the mystery signal at work. Humans are wired to close loops. When information feels incomplete, the mind itches to resolve it. That itch creates attention. That attention grows into attraction. Most men suffocate mystery. They spill every detail about their job, their hobbies, their past relationships within the first 2 conversations. They think, if she knows everything, she'll like me. Wrong. If she knows everything, there's nothing left to discover. And discovery is where fascination lives. The Stoic application here is restraint. Restraint in speech. Restraint in revelation. Not secrecy, not dishonesty, but silence with intention. Share enough to spark curiosity, hold enough to let her imagination work. Practical moves. In conversation, drop a thread, but don't tie it off. Example: I've been working on something that excites me. It's still early. I'll tell you when it's real. When she asks about your weekend, don't download every detail. Offer a highlight and redirect. Saturday was wild. Remind me to tell you later. But I'm curious, how was yours? Keep social media minimal. One intriguing post beats 10 daily updates. The effect? She begins to invest. She asks more. She imagines more. She talks about you with her friends because she doesn't quite have you figured out. And that, psychologically, is irresistible. But mystery alone isn't enough. You must balance it with intensity, moments that etch into memory. That brings us to the next lever. Think back to the last time you scrolled through social media. You had no idea what was coming next. Maybe a hilarious meme, maybe a heartbreaking clip, maybe a piece of news that changed your whole perspective. That uncertainty, the not knowing, is what keeps your thumb swiping. Every swipe offers the possibility of a dopamine spike, and the brain craves it like sugar. Now apply this to attraction. The mistake most men make is trying to be endlessly available, endlessly consistent. They text every morning, "Good morning, beautiful." They reply instantly, as if they've been waiting by the phone all day. They believe consistency equals reliability, and reliability equals attraction. But in the psychology of desire, consistency equals predictability, and predictability equals boredom. Women don't fall for the man who floods them with attention. They fall for the man who makes their emotions rise and crash, who gives them highs that linger, and spaces that leave them craving more. That's the dopamine hook. Take Noah and Lila. Noah wasn't a model, wasn't wealthy, but he understood something subtle. One night he told Lila, "Cancel whatever you had planned. I'm taking you somewhere tonight." He drove her to a hilltop outside the city where the stars painted the sky. They laughed, they talked, they shared a memory she'd never experienced before. And then, he disappeared. Not forever, not in a manipulative way. He had work to do, friends to meet, goals to chase. For 2 days, he barely texted. Lila checked her phone constantly. Why isn't he messaging? Is he thinking about me? What is he doing right now? Her brain was hooked, not by what he gave her, but by the space he created around the moments of intensity. That's the formula. 1. Create emotional highs that she hasn't felt before. 2. Balance those highs with absence. Real absence, not games. 3. Stay calm and grounded when she reacts. A rooftop dinner, a sudden drive to a hidden cafe, a playful challenge during a walk. Each moment spikes dopamine. Each absence makes her crave the next hit. But understand this, it's not about manipulation. It's about living a life rich enough that you don't have to text every minute. It's about designing your time so that when you're with her, it's unforgettable. And when you're away, it leaves a vacuum only you can fill. When you master the dopamine hook, she doesn't just like you, she doesn't just want you. She begins to feel addicted to your presence. And addiction, when paired with respect, becomes obsession. But desire doesn't just come from intensity, it comes from rarity. And that leads us to the third trigger, the scarcity magnet. Picture Liam. He met Arya at a friend's party. They connected instantly. He thought, I need to lock this down. So he did what most men do. Every morning text, instant replies, canceling his gym session to take her call, rearranging his weekend just to be available. For 2 weeks, he gave her everything, and then she stopped responding. She said she was busy. Eventually, she vanished. Liam was crushed. He couldn't understand. Didn't I give her my best? Here's the paradox. What's easy to get feels less valuable. What's scarce feels priceless. Think of diamonds. They're just stones, but their rarity drives people to pay fortunes. Attention works the same way. Scarcity creates value. It whispers, not everyone gets this. Not everyone earns this. And that whisper creates desire. Fast forward 6 months. Liam shifted. He refocused on his career, his health, his friendships. He stopped making women his center and made his life his center. One night he ran into Arya again. But this time, he was different. He wasn't desperate. He wasn't waiting. He talked, smiled, then excused himself to catch up with his friends. And for the first time, she was the one leaning in. Why? Because his energy broadcasted value. I'm building something. My time matters. And if you want access, it must be earned. The Stoic lesson here is time sovereignty. Your time is your life. When you give it away freely, you devalue yourself. When you guard it, schedule it, invest it in growth, it becomes precious. And people instinctively respect what is precious. So how do you embody the scarcity magnet? Build a life filled with priorities that matter more than her attention. Fitness, craft, business, brotherhood. Respond on your time, not hers. Not to play games, but because your calendar has structure. When you say yes, make it count. When you say no, stand firm. She will test it. She will see if your boundaries are real. And when she realizes they are, her curiosity ignites. Her respect rises. Her attraction deepens. Understand this. Scarcity without purpose is just arrogance, but scarcity with substance, with projects, with discipline, with growth, is magnetic. It's irresistible. And here's where the first 3 triggers connect. Mystery catches her attention. The dopamine hook makes her crave the next high. Scarcity makes your time priceless. Together they set the stage for the next piece. Leadership. Because once she's curious, once she's hooked, once she respects your value, she'll want to know if you can carry the frame. By now you've seen how mystery sparks curiosity, how dopamine hooks desire, and how scarcity builds value. But there's a question burning in her mind. Can this man lead? Because attraction without leadership is like fire without direction. It burns hot but dies quickly. Leadership, the kind that's calm and grounded, answers a primal instinct in her psychology. In ancient times, survival often depended on following the strongest hunter, the man who knew the path, the protector who carried responsibility. That instinct never left. Take Marcus and Celine. They were planning their second date. Instead of the usual back and forth, where do you want to go? I don't know, what about you? Marcus said. I've got 2 ideas. There's a rooftop jazz bar at 9, or we can grab street food and catch the midnight film. Which feels better to you? He set the frame. He gave options, but carried responsibility. Celine smiled with relief, not because he forced control, but because he spared her the burden of constant decision-making. This is the essence of grounded leadership. It's not being the loudest. It's not demanding obedience. It's calm decisiveness, wrapped in respect. The Stoic application is simple. You cannot control her reactions, but you can control your composure. When plans fall through, don't whine or rage. Solve, adjust, lead again. Leadership is proven most in how you handle setbacks. So practice this. Next time you're out, be the man who takes the burden off her shoulders. Suggest the plan. Handle the logistics. Guide without bragging. And watch how she relaxes in your presence. That comfort, paired with desire, builds something far stronger than fleeting attraction. But leadership alone isn't enough. To keep desire alive, you need to understand the art of space, knowing when to pull back, when to let her wonder. If mystery is the spark and leadership is the fire, space is the oxygen. Without oxygen, fire suffocates. Without space, attraction dies. Here's the paradox. We think closeness creates intimacy, but too much closeness suffocates it. Strategic space allows her emotions to grow in your absence. Look at Kai and Nova. After 2 weeks of steady conversations, Kai did something unusual. He didn't send the morning text. He didn't check in every few hours. For 48 hours, he disappeared. Not to play games, but because he had a deadline, a training schedule, and real life to live. At first, Nova wondered, did I do something wrong? Has he lost interest? Then curiosity took over. She checked his social media. She asked mutual friends. She thought of him far more in those 2 silent days than in the 10 days of constant messaging before. And when he finally replied, calm, casual, been deep in a project, coffee this weekend, she felt a rush of relief and excitement. This is the scarcity effect in action, but applied through space. The human brain values what is limited. Attention given constantly becomes background noise. Attention given sparingly becomes music. The Stoic discipline here is digital fasting. Set windows where you work, train, read, and your phone is away. Your absence is natural, not forced. And when you return, your presence feels intentional, not desperate. Remember this rule: never ghost, never vanish without reason. But do live a life so rich and demanding that you cannot be on call 24/7. Let her miss you. Let her wonder. Let her imagination work in your absence. And when you do return, return with energy, with presence, with purpose. That contrast makes you unforgettable. Now we come to the most dangerous and the most powerful trigger of all, the emotional roller coaster. Because mystery may spark desire, scarcity may amplify it, but emotion is what burns it into memory. If you remember anything from this entire code, remember this: women don't fall in love through logic. They fall in love through feelings. Think about your own memories. Do you recall what you ate for lunch 2 weeks ago? Probably not. But you remember your first heartbreak, your first kiss, that one night when laughter carried until dawn. The brain forgets routine. It clings to emotion. That's why the emotional roller coaster is so powerful. When you give her a ride of highs, surprises, vulnerability, and playfulness, you don't just entertain her, you etch yourself into her mind. Consider Julian and Mira. One evening, Julian invited her to a rooftop overlooking the city skyline. The lights glimmered, the breeze softened, music floated in the background. Instead of bragging about his career, he told her about a childhood memory, when his father drove him to watch shooting stars because he was afraid of the dark. Mira's heart melted. Vulnerability opened a door that confidence alone never could. Then Julian pulled out a Polaroid camera. Let's capture this. 10 years from now, we'll laugh at how nervous we were tonight. A surprise she never expected. Later, he teased her with a playful bet. Guess my guilty pleasure snack. If you're wrong, dessert's on you. She laughed, protested, played along, noticed the sequence: safety through vulnerability, wonder through surprise, tension through play. Her emotions rose and dipped like waves, and by the end of the night, she wasn't just attracted, she was addicted. This is the roller coaster. 1. Share vulnerability, a piece of your story that reveals your humanity. 2. Add surprise, something small but unforgettable. 3. Create play, a challenge, a bet, a moment of laughter. The Stoic balance is crucial here. Vulnerability doesn't mean dumping trauma. Surprise doesn't mean grand gestures you can't sustain. Play doesn't mean cruelty. It means being real, being creative, being grounded. Because here's the truth. She will forget 100 texts. She will forget dozens of dinners. But she will never forget the night you gave her an experience no other man could replicate. And that memory ties her emotions to you, like nothing else. But memories fade unless you leave a mark, a permanent imprint in her psychology. And that, brother, is the 7th and final trigger. By now, you've seen how mystery sparks her curiosity, how dopamine hooks her attention, how scarcity makes you valuable, how leadership steadies the frame, how space amplifies desire, and how emotional highs etch memories. But there's one final step, the move that makes you unforgettable. It's called the imprint effect. Humans don't remember days, they remember moments. They don't remember every word, they remember emotional peaks. The brain is wired to anchor memories, to experiences that feel one of a kind. If you want her to carry you in her mind long after you're gone, you must create moments she cannot replicate with any other man. Consider Alec and Isla. One evening, Alec invited her to a quiet old bookstore cafe tucked in a side street. Warm lights, jazz humming softly, the scent of aged pages blending with coffee. After hours of conversation, Alec handed her a folded slip of paper and said, Write down one dream you've never told anyone. Don't show me. Don't explain. Just write it, and I'll keep it safe until the day you achieve it. Isla hesitated, then wrote. Alec folded it back, smiled, and said, "When you accomplish this, I'll be the first to congratulate you." She stared at him, stunned. No man had ever seen her so deeply without demanding anything in return. In that single moment, Alec imprinted himself into her psyche. Because she didn't just feel attraction, she felt recognition. That's the power of the imprint effect. Not money, not fancy gifts, but a memory so personal, so meaningful, that it becomes impossible to forget. Practical ways to create imprints. A private ritual. Always clinking cups before the first sip. A hidden spot. Your cafe, your rooftop, your quiet park bench. A story only you two share, like the guilty pleasure snack she teased you about. An artifact, a ticket stub, a photo, a note she writes to her future self. Remember, women don't remember things, they remember feelings. If you give her an experience that feels irreplaceable, you won't have to fight for her attention. She'll give it freely, because you are etched into her mind. Let's pull this together. 7 psychological triggers. 1. Mystery signal. Don't overshare. Leave gaps. Let curiosity work. 2. Dopamine. Hook. Emotional highs and intentional absences create craving. 3. Scarcity magnet. Value your time. She values what you value. 4. Grounded leadership. Set the frame calmly. Lead with respect. 5. Strategic space. Let her miss you. Don't be everywhere. 6. Emotional roller coaster. Vulnerability, surprise, and play-etch memories. 7. Imprint effect. Leave her with a moment she cannot forget. Stack them together, and you don't just attract women, you attract respect. You don't just get attention, you become obsession. Knowledge without practice is wasted, so here's your challenge. 7 days, 7 drills, 1 new discipline each day. Day 1, mystery. Write 3 intriguing facts about your life. Share only 1. Save the rest for later. Day 2, dopamine. Plan 1 surprise for someone. Doesn't have to be romantic. Create an emotional spike. Day 3, scarcity. Block 4 hours for deep work. Make your schedule untouchable. Day 4, leadership. Next time plans are vague, take charge. Offer 2 concrete options. Day 5, space. Do a mini digital fast. No instant replies, no endless scrolling. Day 6, emotional roller coaster. Share 1 story of vulnerability. Add a playful challenge. Day 7, imprint. Create a ritual or artifact with someone that can't be replicated. Do this once and you'll see results. Do this consistently and you'll transform who you are. A warning, brother. These triggers are powerful, but they are not toys. Power without principle corrupts. Power with principle builds respect. The Stoic path is not about tricking women. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't have to trick. Mystery is restraint. Scarcity is sovereignty. Leadership is responsibility. Space is discipline. Emotional highs are presence. Imprints are authenticity. Use these tools to raise yourself, not to lower others. Attraction is not built in her heart. It is built in her mind. And when you master these triggers, you stop chasing. You start choosing. Most men try to prove their value. You don't. You live it. Most men flood women with attention. You don't. You let her earn your time. Most men try to be loud. You don't. You are calm, grounded, unshakable. That's the Stoic advantage. You don't pretend to be valuable. You are valuable. You don't beg for presence. You embody presence. And because of that, you don't just attract women. You attract peace, respect, and sovereignty. Now, if this message resonated, join us. Subscribe to Stoic Advice for Men. Every week, we turn psychology into discipline and discipline into freedom. Drop a comment with the words, "I choose discipline," to show you're walking this path. And if you want to go deeper, the next video is waiting. It will show you how silence, not words, is your deadliest weapon in attraction and in life. Until next time, stand tall, stay grounded, and remember, control yourself and the world follows.